Production.
Am I good?
You're good. Well, we're live now. Oh, you just fuzzed again. Goodness gracious. I don't know why I said you just fuzzed again. Can you hear me? Oh no, she's frozen. Now you're frozen. You might want to go out and come back in. Can you hear me? Hello? Well, I don't know if Samantha can hear me. Let's see. Oh, I think I just heard you. Your face is totally frozen. Yeah, so. Yeah, you might need to go out and come back in. I don't know if she can hear me at all. Whoa. Well, Samantha just turned into like the Matrix over there. So that was fun.
Okay,
All right.
let's pray for my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on.
You
my
turned
gosh.
in. You like turned into the Matrix before you left.
Awesome. I love that for
Yeah.
me.
All right. Well, you're here. She's back.
Yep, I'm trying.
Did you want to do the intro?
I don't know what to do for an intro. Hi, guys.
Yes, here we are.
Yeah, we're going to try and do another show tonight. I promise eventually we will get this down. Oh no, am I frozen again?
You're not frozen, but you were like in and out. I can hear you. The image is just
Oh my
fuzzy.
gosh, I don't know what to do. Okay. Well, just let me know if you can't hear me.
Yeah. No, now I can hear you. Now it looks and sounds good. I don't know why it's like back and forth. Huh.
I don't know either. I don't know what's going on. I'm at my parents' house visiting my mom, and so I'm trying to do this from here, and for some reason the internet is not working for me.
Well, someone gave us a thumbs up who's not me. Here, I will give us a thumbs up too. Well, yeah. I was wondering literally the other day, is this the Outspoken Samantha show? What do you call this? Is it just Outspoken Samantha?
I guess just Outspoken Samantha. I don't know. It's we're testing it out. I don't know what we should call it. Outspoken Samantha show, maybe just outspoken.
Oh, outspoken, like one word. That, I like it. I could see that. I
I don't know.
appreciate that your
I
mom
don't know
just
what
has
works.
an American flag hanging around. I can appreciate
All right.
that.
So I'm just gonna hope and pray that you guys can still. Yep. Yep. Um, can you still see and hear me?
I can still see and hear you. And the last time I
Okay.
checked
Well,
on
I'm
YouTube, we were still good.
okay. Guys, I just from where I'm looking, like everything looks super fuzzy and glitchy, so we're gonna do the best we can. I don't know what's going on. This is the same setup I've been using every time, but for some reason my phone doesn't seem to like the Wi-Fi here. So
Here, let's see if it's better if our faces are small. If it
there we go. You can't see
settles
how
in.
fuzzy I
So we will rock this scene. Well, if you couldn't guess, we are going to be talking about Hunter Biden's nonsense. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, must be
Oh,
nice. Must be
yeah.
nice.
Must be nice to be the president's son and be able to just leave your crack laying around everywhere, to be able to not have to pay your taxes, be able to carry a firearm that you are not legally allowed to have, to be able to hold prestigious positions on, boards in other countries that you have no experience in and get paid millions. Like, where do I sign up for that?
Yeah. Well, hey, Hunter is an artiste as well, so.
Right, right. And his paintings apparently are going for millions, and it, there's nothing questionable going on here. I just want everybody to know that it's completely legit.
As my shirt says, I gave Joe Biden 1 star,
Um,
but 5
if
stars.
I had the money, I would hang it in my living room.
Wow.
Hmm?
Wow. I would not hang one of his
Yeah.
paintings in my anything. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So what has been happening with Hunter?
Yeah, well, let's dive into it. Epic Times here, one of my faves. Hunter Biden's plea deal, they said on hold. I say is falling apart because it got kicked in the sack by a Constitution thumping judge. But like here are we usually don't read a ton of this, but there's some interesting tidbits in this article. First on Hunter Biden's plea deal hearing on yesterday, July 26th, ended with a deferment of action. And the reason that it was deferred is because this judge, who's a total BAMF, if you don't know what a BAMF is, just Google it. I don't know how to say this. It looks like Judge Norica, who is a Donald Trump appointee, but honestly, guys, that doesn't matter. The whole crux of this thing is she cited that there was some confusion about the intricacies of the deal that the prosecutor apparently made because he was supposed to be pleading guilty to something having to do to a gun charge, a firearm related crime, which is a serious crime, but it seemed like the scope of it had changed in the courtroom. So when they're reading it to her, presumably for the first time, it seems that they're asking him to plead guilty to some minor tax charges, guilty to tax charges. Maybe you do 6 months in jail, prison, whatever. But then it became apparent that he was going to be, he had his broader agreement had provisions shielding him from other potential tax things, gun crimes, and drug crimes. And he was going to be, what's the legal word? Not expunged.
Immunity.
Yes, immunity for all this stuff. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So she drilled down into it, and the prosecutor was like, we don't want to talk about it. And she was like, wrong. This guy's cruising around in a motorcade. He is not a political appointee. He is the child of a political appointee, and he has a motorcade. Some of my colleagues, when you're there in D.C. and you're sitting there in traffic, and the roads just stop, everything's closed, and this motorcade goes by, that's Hunter Biden. Yep. Not going to do any important government business. How is that the appropriate use of funds? I don't know, but
yeah.
Good.
Well, and I'm sure everybody has seen, or at least most people have seen, the White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, the articulate and brilliantly intelligent Karine Jean-Pierre, telling everybody, like, the answer to all of the questions on this has been Hunter Biden is a private citizen. This is none of our business, essentially. And I'm like, I don't know any other private citizens that are driving around and, these motorcades with, Secret Service and government protection. So, which is it, guys? Is he a private citizen, or is he part of the White House?
That's a good point. Well, while he's getting motorcaded around, he definitely has access to the area of the White House and uses that entrance where they found the crack. That's all I'm saying. We don't know that it was his. Right. We know that he has a history of snorting the white powder, but, could have been anyone's.
Right. Well, and I was actually listening to Liz Wheeler about this earlier today, And she was talking about how he was already, I don't know if he was already on some kind of plea deal or agreement or legal expectation of some kind. But, one of those provisions was that he is supposed to be drug free for at least 2 years. So
Yep.
clearly, if they're finding cocaine in the White House, like I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, in the White House, he clearly, Biden, clearly his family, clearly everybody in there is not going to link this to Hunter Biden, because he is supposed to be drug free, whatever it is that he is supposed to be doing right now. So, just another benefit of being the president's son. I don't think there's anybody in this country that has more white privilege than Hunter Biden. So, but I love I love the fact that this judge said this is not going to happen because they're supposed to be addressing these tax charges and this gun crime and all of this, and they just snuck in there the plea agreement that he would have immunity from being charged, from having future federal charges on all of these other crimes. And it's like, if Hunter Biden is so innocent, why would they need to put that in there to protect him from being federally charged with other crimes? So that's telling us that they are worried about other charges, other crimes that he could be charged for.
Yeah, it's total bullcrap because I could see her saying this line of reasoning. Oh, we're striking an immunity deal with him. What is he giving us? He must be giving us some really damning intelligence, some look into criminal networks that he supposedly has no dealings with. We don't just give people immunity deals for no reason. We give immunity deals to traffickers, arms humans, and drug traffickers because they tell us stuff, not just because, oh, you got caught on this tax charge, but we'll waive your other crimes just out of the goodness of our hearts.
Right.
She was probably like, hey, we're giving him immunity for like all of these high bar felonies. Like, what is he giving us? I don't see it here on the other side of this agreement. I love that, and shout out to Julie Kelly who tweeted this, but I love that she ordered him to get a job as one of the conditions of his release. Like, bro, you owe the government tax money, so you're going to need to get a job. Not an artist, not on the board of Burisma or whatever else, but like,
Right.
go to work. Don't motorcade there. You can drive yourself to work and put in 8 hours.
Filling out job applications, and they're like reference. He's like Xi Jinping.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They're like, no, Hunter, no, you can't put that on your job application. Yeah, well, and that's another indicator right there that he's not a member of the government when they're like, you need to go get a job. So clearly he does not have a job. He's not employed by the government or by anybody else. It's just astounding, all of the things that they're telling us just by what's outlined here. And, all the things that they're all these things that we believe about Hunter Biden, that we know about.
Mama Outspoken says, my cats could paint better pictures. I've not met your mom's cats, but I'm sure that they could paint better pictures than Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The bar's not set very high. But, the whole thing is people, and I tweeted this out yesterday, that people need to realize, this is not about Hunter. Hunter is the middle guy to take all of these transactions, to be the face of all these transactions, to be the face of, shaking down people for money, all of these things, because Joe Biden can't be that face. But none of this would be happening if it was not for his dad. And even Hunter Biden admitted in that interview a few years ago where he said, there's a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have or wouldn't be able to do if my last name wasn't Biden. And the only reason the Biden name means anything is because it is tied to the White House. So therefore, the only thing that these people have to sell is access to the White House. And that's all Hunter is doing. That's the only leverage he has for anything. So this is not about Hunter at all. He's the middle guy. But this is 100% about Joe.
I just want to point this out because I noticed it literally today and it made me so angry. Look at this picture of this dirtbag just cruising around. He's got his Secret Service and diplomat security, DSS agents, okay? Diplomat Security Service is the name of the agency. Hunter Biden's not a diplomat. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't represent the United States. He's certainly not a protected person that should merit Secret Service protection other than the one. Sometimes children of the president get like 2 agents and afterwards just 1. And a lot of times they just don't. A lot of children of the president are like, nah, I'm good. This isn't the movie The First Kid or whatever with Sinbad where there's bad guys coming after the president's kid. Anyway, this is what his life looks like. And he's being charged with real felonies. Donald Trump, who they made up crimes for, they had like 100 NYPD officers out there, you know, between his house and then while he's like walking into the courthouse. And it's all about optics. They're like, we need journalists, we need cops. Just put cops everywhere so it looks like this guy is El Chapo. And this dirtbag, they're like, oh, are we going to cuff Donald Trump? No, you're not going to cuff Donald Trump. Why would you even ask? And I bet no one was like, oh, hey, the guy that's got gun crimes, drug crimes, probably human trafficking and child different solicitation of children and minors crimes, which the, not the Hatch Act. Oh, what is the name of that law? It's, it's for illicit sex purchasing as an American, even if you do it overseas in a place like Iran or China where it's legal. It's called, it's like the Samuel, the what?
Is it the Mann Act? The Man? No.
I thought that was, I thought man was about government, yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. And I mean,
the Mann Act is prostitution here in the States.
Okay, well, and that was, that was a situation where he was transporting women across state lines for the purpose of purchasing sex. So I think that was the one that was mentioned a few times by Matt Gaetz. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you guys saw that video that she did, she held up very poster board size, explicit photos of Hunter Biden's activities with these prostitutes and with the people that he was trafficking across state lines. And so I'm pretty sure that's the law that they were referring to in that situation. But I know that there's another one.
No cops, no federal agents. Federal agents there to protect him, but no feds, no cops, barely any media. Yeah. It's this double standard 2-tier justice system is absolutely nuts.
It is. I mean, and we listened to them, go on and on and on about Donald Trump for 4 years. And they, called people in that they would call whistleblowers. And everybody that testified, nobody had firsthand information. Everything was hearsay. And even the hearsay was, somebody else's hearsay. I mean, it was like 3 levels of hearsay. They investigated and investigated and investigated and brought in every single person that had ever come within, 50 feet of the president to try and pin something on him. And they couldn't. Whereas we've got Hunter Biden, we've got text messages, we've got documents, we've got photos, we have a laptop, we have whistleblowers, we have associates that are, getting ready to testify. We have all of these things. And then we still have people that believe that we do not have a two-tier justice system. It's like they've been working to actively suppress an investigation, to withhold information, to lie about this information. These are the people that said the laptop was Russian disinformation. Come to find out, even several years later, they're all admitting what we knew from day one. So it's like, if you don't see the justice system for what it is right now, I don't know what to tell you, but that's exactly what's happening. And yeah, it's frustrating knowing that this man is probably not going to end up behind bars. Like, nothing is going to happen. But I still think it's important to talk about it, to expose it, because the more people that know about it, the more people are going to demand accountability, and they're going to be aware of it and what's happening in the next election, hopefully.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but hopefully. Yeah. What do you want to talk about next?
Hey, well, I can be a little hope. Let's talk about Mitch McConnell. What happened?
Oh man. Oh, poor
We'll
Mitch.
briefly we'll briefly touch on this.
Uh, well, again, Epic Times. Basically, Mitch had a freezing incident, which some people saying could have been a serious medical thing. And it's true, he could have had a seizure or a stroke, which a lot of times doesn't happen like it does on TV. But I mean, here's the video. He just kind of, it's super awkward. And I'm going to play this, but then I'm going to play another one so you can hear like the guy that comes up and talks, but he's just frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one's cropped because at the beginning he's just frozen, but he was mid sentence. Like he was just talking and then he just stopped completely cold turkey. And they're all kind of looking at each other in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not normal.
No.
And then this guy's just like, well, we're not sure what happened. I'm just going to pick up for him. But in this one, you can actually hear the microphone. Yeah, just mid-sentence.
Yeah, he just stopped talking and just stared.
And this guy says, let's take you back to your office.
Mm-hmm. Like he's just standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing is, it's concerning. Like
Yeah.
these people run our government. They have access to highly classified information and they
Yeah.
have to make really important decisions.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know what happened. He said that he just suddenly felt lightheaded, so whatever. But I remember a friend that from years ago that I worked with in retail, and she was telling me that she gets these seizures. And they're not like the thrashing around type seizures that you land on the floor and you're going everywhere. It's like literally like you freeze and you can see it, like their eyes kind of shake a little bit, but they're completely and totally just frozen. So that's what that looked like to me, and he just completely zoned out. And yeah, I think the moral of the story is that Congress is turning into a senior center, and we've got Dianne Feinstein, who, doesn't know where she is. She's literally being wheeled in there like she's on a gurney. And, we've got Joe Biden, who's just wandering around everywhere. And I mean, apparently he told a press conference the other day that he is artificial intelligence. Um,
I
got
missed that.
Yeah. And so, and then we've got, Mitch McConnell here, who is just like having seizures mid-sentence. I mean, thankfully, Nancy Pelosi is retired, but it's like, can we lower the average age of Congress to like under 100? I just, we
Now,
have,
I'm gonna play both sides here because Benny Johnson tweeted this, and he tweets a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily agree with.
mhm.
But this, I don't agree with. I will tell you guys right now, I do not agree with this because if all of your faculties are there, I desperately want, I'm not one of these people. We do need young people with fresh ideas and blah, 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 and maybe a different perspective. But we also need older people who are supposed to be wiser and have much more experience. The problem with this group of people is their abilities to perform. Well, George Soros and Klaus Schwab, they're not government representatives. They own government representatives, and they're literally crazy. They're evil people. But Schumer, McConnell, Biden, Pelosi, and on the list goes. They've served in government service for 3 decades, 4 decades, 5 decades, and Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell, 2 black people whose blackness doesn't count because they have the wrong opinion, they've said these are some of the only jobs in the world where you do not get fired for your performance. Them and the weatherman. It doesn't matter how wrong the weatherman is, he has a job. Doesn't matter. It's, oh, well, it was the weather. But they get it wrong more than they get it right. None of their plans actually work or come to fruition. And they say things like, we need more time. You've been in office for decades. We're both adults. They've been in office since before we were alive.
Yep.
And they're saying they need more time. So the age thing's not a problem for me. But when you don't have the health and the mental faculties to actually perform the duty, that's the big problem. And that's what's like these top 4 here, all of them, they have serious health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, we look at Donald Trump and he's 77, 78. I don't know how old he is. Late 70s. But I mean, he's definitely somebody that is still very sharp and very capable. So it's not, I agree. It's not necessarily just about the age, even though I did just make an ageist comment, so whatever. But it really is.
It's true. Most of them are 1,000 years old. That's not great.
Yeah, but I mean, but then you look at John Fetterman, and he's not that old, but clearly the guy is a talking vegetable. I mean, it really is about the mental fitness. But unfortunately, particularly on the left, I mean, I think a lot of people, like Republicans, conservatives, would definitely like to see Mitch McConnell out of office, and we're all admitting that, and we're all like, just leave. The thing is with the people on the left, I mean, when in the 2020 election, when they were putting all their signs out saying anybody but Trump, any living, anybody that's breathing essentially besides Trump. And we thought that they were kidding. But honestly, that is how low the bar is set for people on the left. As long as this person is breathing and, relatively coherent, awake, sentient, then that is the standard.
Kind of like this. Fetterman and Joe Biden.
Rather have somebody like Fetterman and Joe Biden, or they'd rather have, exactly. Dianne Feinstein. I mean, they would rather have these people in there who are completely incapable of doing their job, as long as it's not somebody from the right. That's it.
When you said talking vegetable, I immediately thought about Bob.
But it's true. It's true. They don't care. They don't care. So it's really sad. I mean, I hope Mitch McConnell's okay, but I mean, he needs to retire. Like, it's not about so much as setting an age for when they need to leave office. It's just about the mental fitness test, their cognitive abilities, and just making sure that they can perform the responsibilities. This is some of the most stressful work in the country, and they're falling apart.
Yeah. And hiding it, lying about it. It's nuts.
Well, they're not even hiding it. It's not like, we don't know. I mean,
that's true.
Like wandering across the stage and, trying to figure out who the president in the room is. And it's just, they don't care. Like, I feel like they don't even give him a teleprompter anymore. They're like, just let him talk. Like, it's fine.
Oh man, my butt's been wiped. That one's my favorite. My butt's been wiped. What? What are you
I
saying?
I
All
know.
right. So speaking of Biden, you want to do his dogs or Kamala Harris? I think the last topic that you put in should be the last one because it's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to talk about the dogs, I truly don't know anything about this, so
Okay.
I wasn't.
Well, this is classic rules for thee, not for me. Guys, I love dogs. I love German shepherds in particular. This is a beautiful dog. His collar says "good boy." That is not true. But the problem is with this dog and the other one, the darker one, the black and white one, black and gray one. What are the Major and Captain or whatever their names are?
Mhm.
Joe Biden's dogs apparently have just been biting people at the White House, specifically Secret Service agents. Um, Everyone's known about it. It's been a thing since these very likely mental health patient care dogs showed up out of the blue. Just like ice cream is for mental health patient care, just like Fetterman's wardrobe is another thing for mental health patient care. I would know. My mom provided this type of live-in service for patients. For her career. One of my good friends also provides that kind of, but like Fetterman can't wear, people that have certain issues can't wear stuff like suits or stuff that's tight fitting, especially stuff that goes around your neck, like a tie or like a button down shirt. Well, the problem is they've been lying about it. They've been lying about these dogs and their behavior and not treating it for what it is. And like, so here's they just laugh about it because they're not the ones being bitten by these dogs. This is the attitude around the White House and in the press corps about people's careers. Look at this one's face. Goodness gracious. But about people's careers being altered and them getting permanent injury, which we'll talk about here in a second. But you got to hear some cackles. If she got bit by that dog, she would scream like a scared little girl. Guaranteed. She wouldn't be expressing herself like this.
Right. Or if these were Trump's dogs.
Yes, unique and very stressful. Here's the deal. They lied about this. Judicial Watch, literally, because it's against the law to harbor an animal that's attacked a human. If my dog, my scrappy little 8-pound dog, if he were just biting people, he actually generally doesn't break skin. But when I used to have German Shepherds, if they attacked someone, and the reason that you train your dog and keep it on leash, stuff like that, if they attacked a human, they would be put to death. That's the thing. Those are the rules. DC has special rules about this where they have to do a dangerous animal assessment and open a dangerous animal investigation if anyone, immigrant, citizen, out of towner, if anyone observes an animal attacking a human, law enforcement in DC have to do a dangerous animal assessment. If anyone witnesses an animal biting a person,
Mhm.
wild animal or a dog, they get put down. In the
Yeah.
White House, those rules don't apply. And it's not just that, it's that they're lying about it because the Secret Service agents who have two of them have been bitten on their butts and their upper thighs to the point where it's caused them to go on modified assignment and they have permanent nerve damage. This is
Wow.
not this is a serious dog.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like if this dog attacks you, you are hurt. And the whole
Yeah.
reason this
No, I
came
was
to oh sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the whole reason this came to light because they've lied so badly, and there are other implications about this, is the Department of Homeland Security, which Secret Service belongs to, they suppressed the records of the employee complaints and the information request. They suppressed those records. So Tom Fenton and the gang at Judicial Watch had to sue. They did a FOIA lawsuit. And the court basically ordered, after the agency lost the lawsuit, that they release these 194 pages of records. And it's not good. Biden's been telling the Secret Service to stop being babies and lying about his animals. And then apparently they gave direction to White House staff to just laugh in their faces. These dudes should have shot these darn dogs. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. That is, I mean, it's, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, it's just like these people lie about everything. I mean, they've got these animals that are practically feral in the White House and attacking people, causing permanent damage, causing permanent injury. And even then they're like, everything is fine. Everybody needs to act like everything is fine. Just wipe up the blood. Just it blows my mind. I mean, yeah, I mean, and how often do we hear stories about people that have been attacked by dogs and immediately that dog is done, like it's over. And that's why people take it seriously to actually train their dogs not to attack people, to actually socialize their dogs so that they don't attack people. And even then, like the Bidens can't even do that right.
Yeah. It cost a number of these agents their careers. These agents are, like it says right here in the graphic, they're protective detail agents of not the White House. They don't protect the White House. They protect the protected persons who work in the White House, like the president and their staff. So they've worked their whole career to get these assignments. You could write your own ticket. Like you're the person standing next to the president, the vice president. Your job is to protect them. You're at the top of the field. And it's tough work, and they complain about it. But the reason that they try out for it is because it's the job. It's like
Right.
the top job. A few of them, their careers are over because you need to be in peak physical condition to protect the president of the United States. You can't have nerve damage from some darn dog. And now you can't, duck, dive, dodge, whatever the 5Ds are or whatever.
Right.
Hey, if the Secret Service has lied about dog investigations, then I'm sure they can be trusted with the cocaine investigation.
Right. I'm sure
That's
that's
all I'll
true.
say.
Is there anything decent about the Bidens at all? Like, even their dog sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jill's fashion, but that's pretty bad too. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
It's just, I mean, their dogs are ending the careers of people that have worked years and years to get there, and they're like, it's fine, just laugh it off, just make fun of them, ignore it, pretend it's not happening. Like, how evil do you have to be to your core where there is literally nothing that you feel like you have to be accountable for? Nothing at all. It, I,
I feel like the Biden situation is bad because the best that I can come up with is Joe Biden looks pretty decent in a suit. That's like the best that I can come up with.
I mean, I think he may be used to. I feel like his bald spot has gotten massive. Like, he is
Yeah,
looking terrible these days. So,
I
I
haven't
don't.
even I haven't seen old Joe for a little while. Before I say that, let me look at a picture of this guy. Guys, I've been on a real hiatus. I haven't been watching the news. I haven't been reading the news. Let's see here. Well, this
Yeah.
doesn't even really look like Joe Biden. Let's see.
I mean, just in his press conferences lately, or anytime he's speaking in public, it's just, he looks like he's being propped up. I mean, any minute, he's ready to just fall over. Oh, there's him and his dog. They're
I
they're probably They're probably sitting there and they're both laughing at the last guy that he just bit.
Yeah. I don't think Joe looks bad in a suit. Maybe it's more of the suit. Maybe.
I think it's a flattering picture. Yeah.
Yeah. I also I just love dogs, but it's real serious. I had a friend of mine, or a former friend of mine, who was attacked by a dog on a run, and it just really, she was terrified, and she called me because, oh, we did a run, maybe near her house or something, and I run with a gun. I care. People don't understand when I tell them everywhere that I lawfully can, I am armed. And I tell them, you've never seen me out in public in a place where I can lawfully carry without a gun. And people are like, what about the pool? And I tell them, you've never seen me without a gun. I'm telling you that right now. When I go on runs, I carry a gun. It saved my life at least twice, 2 times that I know of. One was when I was still law enforcement and I got accosted by a very dangerous felon, known gang member, and a car full of his dirtbag friends. But I was just like, I'm going to kill as many of you as I can before you get me. And they chickened out. It was 4 of them. It was 1 of me. It was in the mountains, literally nowhere. Probably couldn't have gotten all 4 of them, but I was going to give it a good effort. Yeah. So, but he did not like staring down the barrel of, it wasn't staring down the barrel of a 45. It was staring down the barrel of a 40. I think we carried Glock 23s. So, but when she got attacked by the dog, she called me and, said, like, it was horrific. It wasn't a German Shepherd. It was maybe a pit bull. And it tore out big pieces of flesh off the back of her right leg. Wow. And so she started running with a gun after she healed from that. She was a soldier as well. So she just wanted to heal and get back to exercising. Anyway, no, dog attacks are pretty vicious. Like this dog, if this dog bites you, it's not cute. It's an emergency.
No. Yeah, no, that's not a little, 8-pound dog. It's not like a little Yorkie. And those dogs are trained. I mean, I know specifically pit bulls, but um, I'm sure German Shepherds to an extent to bite and to hold on. So,
yeah.
it's a big deal, and it's just vile. I mean, it's bad enough if the dog is biting people, but it's even worse that we've got this family that just seem to think they can just laugh anything off, that they can do absolutely anything and ruin people's careers and ruin people's lives in numerous different ways, and they care about exactly none of it.
Kudos to Secret Service, because I would have killed the dog. Yeah. I'm not running around the White House. And they were talking about them hiding behind cars, hiding on furniture after being attacked. I'm not running from an attack dog when I'm like a heavily armed, heavily trained, federal agent. Screw that. Sorry, dog, but if the police did their job, they should take the dog and put it down anyway. So it'd just be a lot cheaper to just shoot the dog. Which, that'd be a serious incident, firearm discharge at the White House, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get all that, but goodness gracious. Maybe if he bites Joe, they'll do something.
Yeah.
All right, here, let's close these tabs. All right. You want to...
Yeah. Should we talk about Kamala Harris?
You always bring the Kamala Harris stories. I can't stand her.
I can't either, but unfortunately, this diversity hire of a vice president seems to be popping up more and more. And she is a terrible human being. So, guys, I don't know if this has been a story over the last few days. So I guess the Florida Teachers Union, they of us would have heard about it had Kamala Harris not gone out there and told everybody how racist and terrible it was, because pretty much everything that comes out of Florida is just racist and bigoted. And so what
Yep,
Kamala
of
Harris says,
course.
she goes out there and does this speech about this curriculum, and she completely lies about what this is. Do you have the link of just that 30-second video of what she was saying about it? I think
Let me look.
it's the first one. It's the RNC research.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this, yeah. So this is what.
Whoops. Let's see if I can copy it. So I'm back into the world of using Windows at work and Mac at home, and it kills my keyboard shortcut game.
Yeah. So this is her speech.
Oh wait, could you hear that?
No, I couldn't hear it.
Oh no, sorry guys, hold on. Here we go. System audio. Let's put it on. Oh, I plugged this into the wrong one. I'm out of practice, forgive me. Let's see here. Wrong hole incident a guy can do. All right, so now, can you say something?
Something.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear?
Check it out.
Yep.
Ah,
They pushed forward revisionist history. Just yesterday in the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it. And while they do this,
ugh.
Yeah. First of all, she has got the most grating voice ever. So this was the first that most people had heard of this curriculum, when she's coming out saying they're trying to teach revisionist history. They're trying to teach that slaves benefited from slavery. And that's not what they were. That's not the basis for the curriculum at all. But they had this gentleman named Dr. William B. Allen, and he was part of the. He participated in creating this curriculum. I think it's the one where he's talking to Jesse Waters. That one. Let's see what he had to say.
One of the authors of the Florida curriculum, Dr. William Allen, joins me now. So, Dr.
Obviously a white supremacist. Just gonna put that out there. This old black man is obviously a white supremacist. Him and Larry Elder and me and Candace Owens.
Dr. Allen, why do you think Kamala Harris is being dishonest about what's being taught about slavery?
Permit me not to give you Kamala Harris's motives. They are invisible. I don't know them. We can all have suspicions that there's a dishonest purpose afoot. But what's more important than that dishonest purpose is the truth. And this curriculum is devoted to telling the truth, whereas Kamala Harris has retailed a lie. Now, it may only have been a falsehood the first time she stated it, but when you repeat a falsehood, it becomes a lie.
Tell her right now what specifically this component of the slavery course teaches.
Well, permit me to have Frederick Douglass tell her. He wrote an autobiography in which he described how the mistress of his slave owner began to teach him to read. She pulled back the curtain through which a glimmer of light shone before the master forced her to close it. But that glimmer of light was enough for Frederick Douglass to illumine a bright flame that he exploited to his benefit and his country's benefit thereafter. Such examples are numerous, and they're retailed in the stories of people who suffered the indignity of slavery time and again. And quickly, permit me to say, what this curriculum is about is having people who live the experience, who live the history, tell their stories. And nothing is more important than that we never, ever erase the stories that the people who live the stories tell. No one has a right to interpret before first understanding the stories as the people who lived them understood them themselves.
So it's amazing Kamala Harris said that this history, this version of history, that this curriculum stated that people benefited from slavery. That's not what it said. It said that people learned skills while they were held as slaves that benefited them in their everyday lives. So they took that so she twisted the words and said that these kids are being taught that that these people benefited from slavery, when it's really just about the skills. And Dr. Allen here is talking about how this curriculum expands our understanding and our knowledge of slavery, because it's taking the personal and direct experiences from people who actually lived at that time, who lived as slaves, and their journal entries, their biographies, and that directly in their words what it was like living under those circumstances. And they do talk a lot about the things that they learned while in that situation. Douglas, he was able to use, during his time as a slave and after he was released. And there's numerous stories that they want to include. So it's just fascinating to me that they're expanding our understanding of what these situations actually looked like for people in real time. But Kamala Harris wants to twist it in this sick and perverse way that, to keep people from learning that there was still humanity at that time, that people still looked out for each other, and that this wasn't a time that was completely immersed in evil and depravity, that, there was still a connection between human beings. And, it's infuriating in a lot of ways, because to me, like the left, everything is about victimhood. And it is completely impossible to them to gain anything positive from a challenge in your life. From anything that you face, you have to focus on the challenge. You have to focus on who to blame. You have to focus on the fact to hold somebody else accountable for the pain that you're feeling. And you cannot gain anything positive from that, because the second that you do, you realize the kind of person that you are, the things that you learned, the strength, the things that you learned from that challenge. And that's completely against what they want people to believe. One of the authors of the Florida.
Whoops.
And this is just one more example of that. They don't want anybody to get any idea that there was ever anything positive in these people's lives at all, or that there was any kind of positive connection between slaves and slaveholders. They cannot have people thinking that at all.
Yeah, one of the reasons that they constantly lie, I think Dr. Allen freaking nailed it. You tell it once, you could have misspoken, you might have been misinformed, but you keep repeating these falsehoods, you're lying, you're reselling a lie, you're propagandizing. One of the reasons they do it, and again, Larry Elder and Thomas Howell speak about this at length, is they are trying to create a false narrative that it was worse than it was, and slavery was bad, but they're trying to create a false narrative that it was worse than it was, and that things now are worse than they are, so they can say that no ground has been covered. I say, the fact that I'm a black man doesn't even matter. As a very sharp student of history, the facts of the westernized American slavery, which is called American slavery, it was triangle trade, and it involved 8-9 other countries. It's not America's slavery, but that slave period in practice was one of the shortest, the least profitable and production rich, and also one of the tamest periods of slavery in the history of the world. American slaves would not have survived any of Egypt's slave practices or Middle Far or Near East slave practices. The slavery here was much more mild than in other instances. You can check out the Old Testament to fact check that. You can check out ancient antiquity documents of your choosing. I don't care what source you use. Those slave practices were out freaking rageous, the things that they did, carrying Xerxes around on their backs through the desert until they died, and then the other slaves would just pound their bodies into the dirt while they, like, American slavery was not remarkable. It was very unnoteworthy. They try and make it seem like the movie Django, like that. No, that wasn't the case. That's freaking Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what they want to sell people, is the Hollywood version of it. They want, and I mean, just a little side note, as we see again, everything that the Democrats accuse us of doing is exactly word for word what they're doing. So when she talks the reality of things or whatever it is, that's exactly what they're doing with history curriculum at this time.
Yep. They're just rewriting it. We went to Kentucky, and my wife got an audio book thing from the library before we left because the kids wanted to listen to it, and it was the story of Harriet Tubman, and it was extraordinarily well done. They did it. It was like a, what do you call it? Like a radio drama. They did it as like an autobiographical podcast, an autobiographical radio drama, and it was so extraordinarily well done. I learned a ton about the life of this woman, and how she came to take part in the Underground Railroad and all of the crazy, like, she was a ballsy chick, I'll tell you that. But the real stories are amazing. The real story of Frederick Douglass, of Booker T. Washington, of Harriet Tubman, of the abolitionist of the 1800s is out of control, crazy. Tell that story. Yep. To go from the plantation to high offices of the federal government into the Senate, not Congress, and we know there's a serious delineation between a Congress member and a senator. There's 535 of these cats. There's 100 of these guys, 2 per state. That's incredible to go from plantation to Senate. Frederick Douglass, I think, was the first deputy U.S. Marshal in the District of Columbia as a former, like, this stuff is just nuts. It's crazy. But man, they just freaking lie about, the left lies about the fact that the first American slave owner was a rich black man who owned African slaves. It's outrageous. Anyway,
and you see I mean, just the fact that, everything that, their idea of history, they think that it's critical race theory. When you have people that say, if you don't want critical race theory in schools, then you don't want history. When we know that critical race theory has absolutely nothing to do with history, it has nothing to do with reality. It's completely just about viewing the entirety of America from start to finish through this lens of skin color. And, it's completely the opposite. And that's probably why they don't want people to learn this version of history that Florida is implementing, because CRT is completely the opposite of what the real stories of slaves would tell. It would completely and totally debunk everything that they are trying to do with critical race theory and teaching, that all black people are oppressed simply because they're black, and all white people, are just born wanting to oppress people that are darker skin tones than them. Like, these stories would debunk that 1000%. So they have to lie about it. They have to get it out of schools. They cannot have people learning the reality of, these lived experiences from the people who actually went through it, because it would just show just completely how that much more dishonest they are.
100% agree. I am parroting a Larry Elderism that I've started saying, but if you're born in the United States and you had a 2-parent household, that's the equivalent of hitting the lottery twice. And it really is. We have more millionaires and billionaires than the world has ever known. This is the most incredible country with unlimited potential for upward mobility. The reason that immigrants come here and start, recreate their family tree is because this is the only place that you can do it. Everyone from everywhere comes here, and in one generation's time, their family tree is indelibly changed, or is what's another word? Is irreversibly changed in incredible ways. That's what we do here. We're not evil. We're not racist. It's freaking,
Yep. Yeah. No, 100% agree. And
that was a good
you don't
video.
have to. Yeah, well, and I did include one more clip, but you don't have to play it. I do recommend going over to the last episode. It was within the last couple of days. Megyn Kelly did a full conversation with Dr. Allen here, and he talked about how they invite. And I apologize if you can hear my children; they are not being quiet.
Oh, you've never been on when my kids
they talked about how they
show.
Invited the teachers unions to come and participate in the conversation to contribute to the. Yeah, they're just being completely crazy right now. But but he goes into how this curriculum was created and everything that they put into it, and he talked about how they invited the teachers unions into this conversation. They had numerous meetings, public meetings, that they were invited to attend, and they were radio silent the entire time that this curriculum was being put together. And the only time that they came out, he calls them, he's like, they came out of the grass like snakes, is when the curriculum was finished, and then they wanted to twist it to be something that it's not, to put this narrative on it that it's false and that it's revisionist and that it's racist and all of these other things. So they chose not to be a part of the meetings and to not contribute at all, which says a lot about how agenda driven this whole narrative is.
This doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about, but I just want to point out to everyone who's freaking out about the new Twitter CEO and everyone who's freaking out about Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. This is real time. Couldn't have planned this. I just opened this window when you were talking about it, but these are like some of the changes, and I'm just a nerd, so I noticed this stuff. These are some of the changes that are going on. This algorithm is being straightened out because in my... not what you would like over here, but in my relevant people having directly to do with this tweet, it has Outspoken Samantha, Megyn Kelly. This is nonsense. I followed you. They unfollowed me. Anyway, but it has Kamala Harris here. Everyone knows good darn well that I don't want to follow Kamala Harris. I do not want to see her stupid feed. If I need to know what's going on with her, I'll seek that information out. But it's topic based. This right side over here is developed in direct relationship to this content. This is how social media should have worked, not just showing you stuff that you want to see and all that stuff. Kamala Harris has never shown up in my... It used to not say relevant people. It used to say others you might like or something like that. Anyway, good job, Twitter. Actually, speaking of Twitter, their rebrand, they're going to be called like X now, which is... I agree with the old PayPal argument because he wanted to call PayPal X.com. X.com is just a really risky domain.
Yeah, I can see that going wrong.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea, Elon. I'm sorry, but whatever. Call your app X, and I don't know. It's less creepy than some people were speculating that the logo was going to be an infinity sign, and if it was, I was going to be like, that's super creepy. But
yeah,
I'm not going to be typing in X.com. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
not worth
I don't
it.
know. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Well, I would like to touch on the last thing that I sent you just briefly. Um, let's see. So, okay. So this is kind of in relevance to the Barbie movie. And I know everybody is probably really sick and tired of hearing about the Barbie movie, and they're, and I, yeah, including Joe, and I'm honestly like, I'm tired of talking about it because, we all have our opinions. We all put out there what we think of it, and, we can move on. But I've been thinking a lot about this movie, and not just this movie, but a lot of the response to it. And I think the response that bothers me the most about it is, of course the left is going to say this is an inspiring movie, this is great for girls, this is great for women, and the View, the hags of the View think it's a great movie, so that should tell you something right there, that they're giving it a positive review. Then that should be, nobody should see it. But it's not just about this movie. And conservatives, I've seen a lot of people comment and say, it's just a movie, it doesn't matter, get over it. Even Tommy Lahren said that she saw it and she was going to go see it again. She's like, it's just a movie, it doesn't matter. And I think that take on it is just, it's why we keep losing. It's why especially the culture wars, because we look at things like this when the left is going into our cartoons and into our movies and into our toys and into our products and into our entertainment. And, we're sitting back going, it doesn't matter. And it's not until we see the repercussions of it that we're like, oh, how did this happen? How did we get here? How did we end up with kids, at drag queen shows watching grown men simulate sex? And I'm sitting here going, it's because of all of these things that were leading up to it. It's because of these subliminal messages in the entertainment and, infiltrating their Disney movies and their cartoons. That's how we got here. So stop saying that it doesn't matter. So it's not just about the Barbie movie. If you look at the other link with the gal talking about Snow White, if we can play that one first, because they're doing a live action Snow White where Snow White is played by this Hispanic actor, and she kind of talks about the that Snow White, she's not looking for her Prince Charming anymore. She's looking to turn into the leader that she knows that she is. So if we can play that really quick, and then this other clip.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it.
It's no.
So there's that. And on its face, those messages aren't terrible. But, if you guys saw, I did an entire movie, I did a video on the Barbie movie. Even though I have not seen it, I've read the plot, I've read magazine articles, I've seen commentary by actors, I've seen a lot of different people give reviews. I don't need to go see this movie to know what's in it. But it is very much like, men and women don't need each other. Men are trying to suppress women. Women need to live separately from men to be happy. Men are the bad guys. Men are to blame for all the problems. Even Elon Musk tweeted out saying, for every time that Barbie mentions the word patriarchy, take a shot. Just kidding. If you do that during the movie, you'll pass out. So I don't understand why they need the toy Barbie to talk about the patriarchy unless they are intending to instill a particular message into our young girls. And then you see this with Snow White, where she's like, she doesn't need to go be rescued by the prince. She doesn't need a man. And she, she's like, Snow White's going to be independent and all of these things. And then we end up in this culture years later where we have people that are not getting married. We have women that they are in their 30s and 40s being single. And a lot of people wondering how the heck we ended up here with people that don't want to pursue traditional families, that don't want to pursue meaningful relationships, that don't want to have families. And it's because you look at things like this, and to me, this is why. I want conservatives to stop saying that this stuff doesn't matter, because it does matter. So this was a little girl that she and her little sister and her mom went to see it. And I think just play it really quick, because I think it was really interesting what her reaction was. And she looks to be about 12, 13 years old, but go ahead and play it.
I'll say, to Sam's point, you're being intentionally stupid to say this doesn't matter. Movies don't matter. Music doesn't matter. TV doesn't matter. Just think about the fact that the United States Central Intelligence Agency had a vested interest before it was even the CIA in the 30s, and the CIA came about in the 40s. But in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, they had a vested, unclassified, now publicly available interest in the scripts, the staging, the movement, and the content of movies, music, and television. So if you think that it doesn't matter, you have to ask, why would a spy agency, a clandestine services agency, think, no, this is important, we need to be involved with this? And you're like, nothing's going on, everything's fine. There's no such thing as being influenced through subliminal messaging. Like, you have to be an idiot to believe that. So,
Yeah.
all that to say, I agree.
Yeah, well, and it's just a quick little story. So when we were traveling last week and we stopped in Colorado and stayed at a hotel, I had my kids put on some cartoons, but I was like, whatever, they need cartoons, and it was the Disney Channel. And I just happened to look over, and I don't even remember what the cartoon was, but the message was, this girl was like yelling at somebody else about, if we don't do something about climate change, the planet's going to look like this. And everything around her like burst into flames. And and my kids were watching it, and I was like, did they catch that? So like the next day I was asking my oldest, who's 12, I'm like, have you ever heard of climate change? And he's like, you mean like temperature? So, thankfully this is not something that he understands. But I started asking him if he recognized what was in that cartoon from the day before, and he described it perfectly to me. So he knew exactly what I was talking about. He knew exactly what the girl was saying, even though he's not familiar with climate change. But again, like, we've got these cartoons, we've got movies, we've got scripts. And I mean, even if you look at Sound of Freedom, I mean, movies do something to people. So I know that people get really tired of us, talking about Disney and talking about this Barbie movie and talking about Snow White and talking about, whatever. And they're like, it's just a movie. But it's like, then you look around and you're like, how did this happen? How did people develop these certain ideas? So I really like this little girl's, this take on it, but I'll tell you why after.
So Grace, we just saw the Barbie movie. What'd you think?
I thought it was really good.
Why did you like it?
Because it's obviously Barbie, and yeah, I liked it because it was Barbie.
That was it?
Yeah, I don't like how she turns into a human and she doesn't like Ken anymore. I don't like that.
You didn't like the end?
Yeah.
Because you think she should like Ken?
Yeah, and she should stay in the Barbie world.
Did you think that the movie was too tough on boys, on Ken?
Yeah.
And all the other boys?
Yeah.
Or no? Did you or no?
Yes, they're too tough on boys. The girls they're acting like we're still living in where girls are just objects, but we're not. It's dumb.
So you thought it was kind of exaggerated as far as the way girls are treated?
Yeah.
But did you think the movie was good in general?
Yeah.
Are you glad you saw it?
Yeah, and it was really funny.
Did it make you like Barbies more or less?
Well, I don't know how I should play with my Ken now.
You don't know how to play with your Ken anymore? So you're confused?
Yeah.
Will you continue to play with your Barbie?
Yeah.
All right. Mom, what did you think?
Oh, I liked that movie.
Oh, okay. And any particular reason why?
Because it wasn't a statement about Barbie.
What was it a statement
It was
about?
a statement about little girls growing up,
Okay.
getting old, not being
Yep.
perfect anymore.
Okay. I like that. Diana, what did you think?
It was funny.
Oh.
It was funny?
Yeah, there is one.
Did you like it? Did it make you like Barbies more or less?
More.
More? What did you think was funny, Grace?
Well, it's kind of inappropriate. The very
Oh,
starting
well, let's not
was
talk about it.
the very starting was.
The very start was funny. Okay, all right, so thumbs up or thumbs down, everybody? Thumbs up, thumbs up.
I give it a 9
Thumbs
out
up.
of 10.
9 out of 10 from Grace. Okay.
I like
The Ziegler girls like Barbie. All right, well, here we go. Take that, Ben Shapiro.
And I thought it was funny because the guy that shared this video was actually, he appears to be kind of conservative, so I'm not really sure what he was, if he was trying to prove something. But I thought it was really funny that like the middle girl, like this one here, she's like, I didn't like how Barbie didn't like Ken at the end. And she's like, I don't even know what to do with my Ken doll now. So she's like, so she's internalizing that message, and the mom's, completely oblivious to what's going on. So the little, like, I don't know, maybe she's 10. She seems to be more in tune with what the actual messaging of the movie was. And even when her little sister's like, it was funny, and she's like, well, it was inappropriate. Like,
Yeah.
These kids.
She gets it on a base level. She can't quite articulate it, but she nailed it. She's like, it's not like that anymore. Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because I think that this movie is particularly targeted towards little girls about this age, probably between, 10 to 15 years old, with this feminist message, like, we don't need men. We don't need the Ken doll. But Barbies are just fine on their own. Who needs a man? And, men are the enemy. And clearly, like, she caught on to that. And it's really funny because I see that. And then I watched this channel on YouTube. It's called the Manosphere. And this guy, he'll play TikToks of women that are between like 30 and 40 complaining about dating. And they're talking about how, you can see that they were sold this message that they didn't need a man, that they were going to be fine just being single forever, that the patriarchy, they bought all these messages about the patriarchy. And then they're 30, 40 years old wondering why they're miserable and wondering why life is so hard. And it's like, because you've been fed this lie that you're going to be just fine, not pursuing any of these traditional values. And it's funny because we see just a small percentage of these women now, but we have little girls like this that are just being bombarded with these messages now. What's it going to look like, in 20, 30 years when they're 30, 40 years old and they're like, I don't understand why I'm miserable. And there's going to be a lot more of them. So the whole point is this stuff matters, guys.
Yep.
And clearly this little girl got exactly out of it what, I did in my entire review.
Kudos. I know nothing about this man, this family, these young girls and this woman, but kudos to Dad for making this opportunity. We just went out, had family fun. What did that mean to you? What did this movie mean to you? What did you get out of it? And this is something that we don't particularly do with movies here in the Mobley household. We read something almost daily, supposed to do it daily, but almost daily, called The Bible in Stories, where we read Bible passages to our kids and specifically ask them questions, not just questions about what happened, because a lot of the Old Testament stuff, especially, it's like you read it and then it's like, what? like what happened? Can you tell the narrative of Scripture? Because this is important. This stuff is actually happening. It's not just random words. And but what does it mean to you? What are the key takeaways? We don't ask questions like that, but what stood out to you? Why did it stand out to you? Why do you like that? Why do you dislike that? Just to get them thinking. I thought this was a cool little interview that he did.
Yeah, and I like that because I know a lot of times when you see people asking their kids questions, it's a lot of coaching to get a specific answer. And
Yep.
I feel like, he was trying to see if she caught on to those messages, but I don't feel like he was pushing her to give a specific answer. He just wanted to see if those messages resonated or if she recognized that. And she could have easily just have said, no, like, what are you talking about? But even she, as you said, you know, she was like, I didn't, you know, what were they talking about? This message was weird. So,
his interview was, he was a better interviewer than a lot of professional media people who give slanted nonsense interviews.
Yeah, exactly. So he was actually interested in the truth, what the person had to say. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because I kept getting a lot of comments from people saying, you know, we're making too big a deal of this. But then, as I said, we end up down, you know, 10, 20 years down the road after the fact, people running around going, I don't know how this happened. And it's like, you know, there's a reason. It's because we kept saying it didn't matter.
Completely agree.
Oh, and just a side note, guys, like, it's not just like families or kids that have liberal parents that are going to come away with these ideas. This is affecting Christian conservative homes. This is affecting kids that are raised in conservative families where you're trying to teach them, you know, to grow up and, of course, you know, get an education, be themselves, pursue their dreams, but also that there's so much value in you know, marrying somebody that's going to respect you and build a life with you and build a family with you. You can be teaching your kids all these things, but they're being bombarded with this. So this is not just something where, you know, it's liberal kids that are growing up and choosing to be single and alone. This is affecting everybody. So start paying attention.
I will go more on the offensive. Christian, conservative, whatever you call yourself, the left is eating your lunch. They're kicking your butt. They're doing a better job than you indoctrinating your kids. Children are going to be indoctrinated. They're going to be indoctrinated with the values of either their parents or the values of their teachers or the culture at large or the entertainment that you expose them to. And you need to be intentional about those messages because the discipleship model is planting seeds and sowing them over time to harvest later. You know, there's a great book that all the leadership, spiritual leadership at Liberty University, where Eliza and I did undergrad, we had to read. She didn't have to. I was on the spiritual leadership for the school, and we have to read Disciples Are Born, or Disciples Are Made, Not Born, which is obviously, it's just like leaders are made, not born. It's just a true statement. They're planting in these movies and in school and in cartoon, they're planting seeds that are being watered over the K through 12. And really, I mean, they go into hyperdrive in college. But then we're not immune to it either. It's in the training that you get in the professional workforce wherever you work. They are dug in. They are working hard on their discipleship model. And we are lazy, apathetic. The real world, we come up with these excuses that something else, somewhere else is going to do the work. And guess what? It ain't happening, honey. You got to do the work or you're screwed. Your kids are screwed. Your society's screwed.
Yeah. Well, and our kids, and I think even particularly as Christian conservatives, our kids are the target. I mean, they don't have to, I mean, liberals are already sacrificing their kids on the altar of gender ideology and feminism and, you know, all of these things. They're coming after our kids specifically. I mean, which is why they have to hijack things like Snow White and Barbie. Like, why else would you go after a beloved kids toy and beloved kids brands if you didn't want to use that thing to draw kids in so that you could influence them with their messages? I mean, you know, and people say, you know, well, just because my kid watches something doesn't mean they're going to make them that thing. And, you know, that I never had my daughter watch Little Mermaid because I thought it was going to turn her into a mermaid. I never had her watch Beauty and the Beast because I thought that she was going to meet some guy that was, you know, in the shape of a beast and he was going to turn into a prince. Like, you know, a lot of times we haven't had our kids watch movies because we think that they're going to take it literally. But that is the purpose of these movies. They're not doing it just to present some kind of fantastical, like, magical story. They are doing it with the purpose of influencing our kids. Like, that's the entire goal.
What she said.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm sorry. This one has gone a little bit over an hour again, but we had a lot to talk about because that's what happens when we just skip weeks.
Yeah, I like this. I'm going to share this with my wife. It's a good little, well done, Mr. Ziegler. He said,
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yep. What are you doing?
I'm playing my this particular pocket knife that I have. It has a safety on it, which at first I thought was really stupid, and I made fun of. But it's actually a pretty nifty tool, and the knife is like you can try real hard to open it, but if the safety's on, you can't open it. But it'll like flip out there. So if it's not on. I don't know. It's just something nice to have. Anyway, I'm playing with it because I'm a little bit of a fidgeter.
I get it. Well, I think we're gonna end this here. We are hoping to get on more of a set schedule, hopefully next week when I have my reliable internet back. And we have a chance to plan a little bit more, but we always appreciate you guys watching and commenting and joining the conversation because there's always so many things to talk about. Any closing words from Joe?
Nope. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to all of Samantha's stuff. We might be on Rumble next week. We shall see.
Goals. All right, have a good week, everybody. We'll see you hopefully next week.